What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of the 4545 podcast. Today we're continuing that series that I started about the Euros and how teams can win. Today we're going to talk about France. And thankfully I'm here with my good man, David John. So I'm going to have a little hope and we're going to have some good discussion about it. So without further ado, cue that intro.
Alright, so can France win the Euro 2020? First of all, I'm going to dive into their formations. It seems apparent to me that they run three formations, the 4-3-3, 4-4-2, and the 4-4-2 diamond. However, in this tournament, I think they'll run the 4-3-3 the most. With that being said, I think because if France can get players wide and overload wide positions, I think that's where they're most dominant. When their fullbacks push up wide and their wingers tuck in. So we'll see Kylian Mbappe tuck in, be more central, and whoever the other winger is, tuck in, be more central to be more threats down the middle. Because their fullbacks can't cross, whether it's Benjamin Pavard or Lucas Digne, they can play a good cross. So I think that's where the game plan benefits France the most.
Yeah, I agree. I think that 4-3-3 formation suits them the best, especially with Benzema coming in. Now that he's injured and we don't really know the full extent of how long he's going to be out or if he's out at all, I think it changes a little bit. You can push Mbappe to that striker position if Benzema's injured, but I think Didier Deschamps is just going to put Giroud there instead and still keep Mbappe on the right, which I think would be a good choice. Giroud is a great hold-up striker. And you know what you're gonna get from Giroud. He's not quick, he's not really good on the ball, but you know he's a great target man. He can head, and like David said, with Benjamin Pavard on the right back position, Luca Digne on the left back, when they bomb forward and get crosses in, especially Lucas Digne, like that man can cross the ball. We've seen it for Everton numerous amount of times, where Dominic Calvert-Lewin will get on the end of his cross. Yeah. And imagine Benzema, Giroud getting on the end of that cross, or even Mbappe, like. It's gonna be very good. So yeah, that 4-3-3 formation is good. They also run the 4-4-2 diamond, which I think is a good formation, but I'm not sure how that's gonna work against teams that are playing three at the back. For example, I think Germany is probably gonna end up playing three at the back. And later on in the competition, teams like England, if they face England, they'll play three at the back. That narrow formation, I'm not sure if they're gonna have enough legs to run, with wing backs and stuff like that.
Right.
So I feel like that formation would only work against a team that is playing on the low block. I think the 4-4-2 diamond is good for breaking those teams down, especially with the pace of Mbappe, the creativity of Griezmann, the energy of Kanté. That formation would work as well. But yeah, the 4-3-3 is probably gonna be his most used formation, and for good reason.
Yeah, and another thing is, like T said, with the 4-1-2 or 4-4-2 diamond, it's how do you break down those three at the back teams. I mean, if you're in quick transitions, those wingbacks can drop quickly, and if you have the numerical advantage, suddenly you lose that. And I think like transition wise, it's not a really good formation. Rather when you're in a 4-3-3, the transition times are really, really beneficial. All right, so for our lineup, our player personnel, we went with Hugo Lloris as the keeper, Digne as the left back, Kimpembe and Varane as the two center halves, Pavard on the right, and moving up into the midfield, we have Kanté as the defensive mid, Griezmann as the attacking mid, and Paul Pogba as the number 8. And to round it off with the three forwards, we went Mbappe on the right, Dembele on the left, and Benzema through the middle. So we think that is how Didier Deschamps will line up in this tournament. I think this will be his go-to formation, and I think this team will get the job done and win the tournament.
I want to say this is probably France's best lineup, and it's a very strong lineup. They have so many attacking players that can do a bit of everything. Pogba's going to be influential in the midfield, like David said. Kanté's going to be influential. Griezmann, I think, is going to have a great tournament as well. I think he's going to be that little support striker in behind Benzema, but he's also going to be creating space for the wingers like Dembele, or if Coman plays. Mbappe is a guaranteed starter without a doubt. I can't see anybody starting over Mbappe unless he has some type of injury or it's like a tactical decision. But Mbappe to start, yes. I probably should have started with the defense, but let me go back and talk about the defense. Varane, Kimpembe, that's a very solid center back partnership. They're both quick. Kimpembe is good on the ball as well, so he can play it out the back. I'm not sure how good Varane is on the ball, but he is a good ball, like playing center back, so he can pass out. So that's going to be a good partnership as well. If they can keep, the back line, if they can keep that communication, then they're going to be solid. I don't see France conceding too many goals in this tournament based off the back line, based off the midfield. I think there's just too much world-class quality. Right back, Benjamin Pavard, he scored a banger in the World Cup. And that's really when he came onto the scene. Right after that, he signed for Bayern Munich, and he's been playing for them ever since. So he's been learning alongside some of the best defenders, some of the best players in the world. So he's going to have a great competition. Left back, I don't think one player is going to stay in that position majority of the time.
Yeah, we went with Lucas Digne, but Lucas Hernandez is also a really good player.
Yeah.
So I think he could start a couple of games, but be ready to expect Lucas Digne to get more playing time.
I think if you want an attack-minded left back, you have to choose Lucas Digne.
Yeah.
But if you want more of an all-rounded left back, then Lucas Hernandez. So it'll really just depend on the teams that they're playing. If they're going up against a team who is good on the counterattack with pace, I think you would choose Lucas Hernandez.
Right.
But if you know the team you're playing against, France can dominate them. They can hold on to the ball more. Lucas Digne is the best bet for sure.
All right, so for the tactics, so for France, we'll start with them going forward. So obviously they'll have their three forwards going up, Dembele, Benzema, Mbappe, or whoever the personnel is. They'll attack. I think Griezmann will then come and support them, and Pogba will kind of be that balance. If needed, the fullbacks, Pavard and Digne, can also push up, give support on the widths. So maybe combination pass with the wingers and then whip a ball in. But what's important is that when these fullbacks push up, this allows Dembele and Mbappe to tuck in and get more numbers centrally. So whether that means getting numbers on the edge of the box or in the box to get a cross in, it'll all be beneficial for them to get a chance on goal. So now moving defensively, I think that Kanté will be the deepest player, but I think Pogba, when defending, Pogba will drop in level with him and that defensive mid role. Griezmann will be in the center of the field, and Dembele and Mbappe will drop back to help the fullback. And I think it'll be a defensive overload. And not to forget, Benzema will also be with Griezmann, so that if they win the ball back, it'll be easy for them to counterattack because they have the pace on the wing to do it. They'll have Benzema as a hold-up striker. They can play the ball to him, dish it out wide, and then the numbers where Griezmann and Pogba come back, as they are both as Pogba is a box-to-box player, and Griezmann will start a little bit centrally, so it gives him an advantage to push up before anyone else. So yeah, I think that's how France will run this tournament.
I agree. The good thing about France and their tactical setup is, like David said, they can attack in numbers, but also get back on defense. So when they're in the attack, like he said, they'll have the 4-3, push very high up the field, putting pressure on the back line. Pogba is going to be very important because he's going to act as that middleman in between Griezmann. Griezmann is probably going to have a little free roam role in there. And Kanté is going to be that holding midfielder that just acts like a screen in front of the defense. When they're out of possession, Pogba and Kanté are going to be those anchors that just support the defense as well. Like he said, Mbappe and either Coman or Dembele are going to track back. The good thing about that is when they go on the counterattack, Mbappe can go from one end to the field to the other in 5 seconds.
So can Dembele.
And so can Dembele, and so can Coman. They're both fast. And the good thing about that as well, going on the counterattack, you don't actually need someone like Pogba to be making his way because Griezmann is there. Griezmann can be sitting in front of Pogba and Kanté as those anchors. France, they have the tactical setup. It's up to Deschamps to employ that though.
Yeah, another thing is, like you mentioned, Griezmann has that free roam ability or responsibility.
Yeah.
So he can either drift wide to help with wide support or stay centrally and help with the central play.
Yeah.
So that's another benefit.
Definitely. And of course, Lucas Digne or Lucas Hernandez and Benjamin Pavard, when they're back on defense, they're going to be sitting tight with the center backs as well, which is going to allow not too much space for the opposition. And it really allows Mbappe and Coman, I keep saying Coman, and Dembele to bomb forward. When you have that support right behind, they don't have to worry about maybe, except against a team with a 3-back.
Right.
That's the only thing that I think.
And they could potentially come up against England.
Yes. In England, they like to play with Chilwell, like we said, and they like to play with either Kyle Walker or Reece James. But at the same time, they'll play with Rashford or Sterling or Sancho or whoever as like those wingers, the winger role. So when it comes to that, that may be where Mbappe and Dembele will really have to come back and defend. And that might cause some problems for France because they're not defensive-minded players. Like, their duties are really to attack. But that being said, Pogba, Kante, they can also help cover the wing as well.
Right.
So it really just depends on who they're playing.
Another thing with, like, if they come up against a squad that's running a 3-back, those wing backs don't start deep. They kind of sometimes start in the middle of the field. So if let's say Mbappe receives the ball and he's in possession, he's gonna immediately get shut down by the wing back. Yeah. So for them creating space will be a lot harder. They'll have to improve ball retention. Yeah. And a lot of things to just break the three back.
Definitely, but that's where Paul Pogba comes in. He can keep the ball and he can dictate the tempo of the game. I feel like Griezmann can do that as well, especially if he's playing in behind the striker. He can kind of just hold up the play a little bit to allow his teammates to push up. Ball retention is going to be key for France against teams with wingbacks. That's just how it's going to be.
France can get, like, let's say they want to play wide. If France can get a lot of players, like let's say on Mbappe's side, and Benjamin Pavard can support that, and then Griezmann and that free will can drift over. It's already a 3 versus however, and it's already a numerical advantage for the French.
That can free up space on the wing for Dembele. He can be in open space. A quick switch of the play from Paul Pogba, we know he can ping the balls out wide. That could be very crucial for France as well. So now we're gonna go into the key players in each position. We're gonna choose one player from the defense, one player from the midfield, one player from the offense. I'll start. For me, I think Kimpembe is gonna be a star player for France in the defense. The reason why I chose him over like Varane, I'm choosing him over someone like Pavard or Digne is because Kimpembe is very athletic. He's very robust in the challenge as well. He doesn't really dive into challenges weakly. He goes in with full effect. He's a very good tackler of the ball. He can play the ball out when you need him to. He's composed on the ball as well. Seeing him play for PSG, his composure is next level. Even though, he's not really classified as a world-class defender, he can do the job. And especially alongside Raphael Varane, if one of them makes a mistake, which is probably going to happen, Varane might make a silly pass because, it happens sometimes. Kimpembe can cover him. With the speed that he has, with the strength that he has, he's going to be key.
Yeah, Kimpembe is definitely an underrated player. Yeah, like T said, very strong player, can play a pass, very strong defensively, and when you're partnered up with Varane, he only makes you better. So it's looking good for France, and Kimpembe is going to be definitely a crucial player for France. All right, so influential midfielder for France is definitely going to be N'Golo Kante. Again, if you know, really good player. He's going to be that anchor in midfield. He supports defenses, he supports attack, so he's everything that you want in a midfielder. Despite his size, very strong player. And Kante does it all. If you need support, he can help in 2v1s, win ball back. He could be the spark that starts counterattacks. So yeah.
I agree. We both know that N'Golo Kante is just Mr. Nice Guy. He knows how to do everything. For me, he's a cleanup man. He knows how to win the ball back and start attacks. Now, I would choose Kante, and he's gonna be the key player for sure. I'm gonna go a different route and choose Paul Pogba. I think the stage is set for Paul Pogba to actually perform at the highest level. Manchester United, when he plays for them, there are times where he lacks, for sure. But that's because the quality around him is not as good as France. I think now with Kante being in the side, with Griezmann in front of him, with all these players around him, he can take the ball, he can take on defenders, he can pass. The stage is set for Paul Pogba. If he doesn't play well, that's gonna suck. But I think he's gonna do well, especially with Kante behind him. Normally he plays with Fred, and you're not really confident when you play alongside Fred, but when you're playing alongside Kante, someone who you know will win the ball back if you lose it, I think Pogba's gonna be a key player as well.
Yeah, Pogba rarely plays bad for France.
Yeah. He always has good performances for them because
he has a good supporting cast.
Yeah, for sure. Now moving on to the attack, I think this one's pretty obvious. Kylian Mbappe is gonna be the star player for France. He's gonna be a key player in the attack. Just based off what we said already, his blistering quick pace, his great ability to finish, he can dribble in tight areas, he can get past you with his stride. Mbappe, is that perfect forward that you want in your team, he's definitely going to be a key player.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that, very good at 1v1 situations.
Yeah.
He can beat you on the wing, beat you centrally. I mean, he does it all.
Yeah.
His positional awareness is really good for a right winger.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even for me playing right now, I try to watch as much like Mbappe as I can, try to analyze his game. His movement off the ball is just as good as it is on the ball. Great finisher. He could supply a pass if he needs to. Just overall great player, and he'll be very influential for this French attack.
Yeah. I like the point that you brought up. His awareness is so good for a forward and for someone who's only 22. Like, his attacking awareness is just next level. He knows
when to make runs or when to tuck into the midfield.
Yeah, his run making ability is next level because he has the pace, but he kind of reminds me of Marcus Rashford when it comes to run, like the runs that he makes. Rashford is a willing runner, and Mbappe is the same. Like, they both are willing to make runs over and over. And what that does is it tires out the opposition defense. But for some reason, they never get tired.
Yeah.
They just keep doing it. And with someone as clinical as Mbappe, Rashford isn't as clinical as Mbappe. So having someone as clinical as him is going to greatly benefit France.
It's a threat. He's a threat.
Definitely. And that's it. That's been another video on the 4545 podcast. Thanks so much again for watching. Let us know what you want to see next. I had fun making this video. I think
it was good.
This was good content for sure. France are definitely going to be the favorites, or they definitely are the favorites
for sure.
And I can't wait to see what they do. I can't wait to see how Mbappe plays, and I can't wait to see how the tactics play out. I think it's going to go exactly how we think it's going to go.
Hopefully, if there's no injuries and stuff like that, yellow card, red card, stuff like that.
I think everything's gonna go well. So thank you so much for watching once again. It's been real, and I'll catch you on the next video of the 4545 podcast. Peace.